Tonight, a Channel 4 exclusive. For the first time since his father's death, Steve McNair's son is breaking his silence.
If money is so tight, why are some state lawmakers proposing a budget with a big spending plan and bonuses?
And the Channel 4i team with groundbreaking information on the flood, the Army Corps, and the Weather Service. Why so many people had so little information about how high the river would rise.
Working for you in high definition, this is Channel 4 News.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 4 News at 5. 3 weeks after the floods, it turns out the data used to warn the public was not only old, in some cases it was wrong.
A Channel 4i team investigation has uncovered problems in the information that the National Weather Service was given to predict the crest of the Cumberland River. We're talking about the impact of all that water released from the Old Hickory Dam. That decision protected the dam, but may have drowned homes and businesses without warning. The Channel 4i team's Jeremy Finley is here with some numbers that none of us have seen before.
Well, Tom Demetria, we've obtained a lot of information, a lot of data, phone records, timetables, and water data from 2 federal agencies about what was going on here at the Old Hickory Dam. Now, we've been told up to this point that everything the Army Corps of Engineers needed to communicate, it communicated through the National Weather Service. Tonight, the Channel 4i team has learned that the data the National Weather Service was given was in some cases old and wrong. May 2nd, the National Weather Service is in a race against time. Homes and businesses along the Cumberland are in danger. Forecasters need all the information they can get, including information from the Army Corps of Engineers about how much water was being released from the Old Hickory Dam.
I can just say we're taking that latest information that we're getting from the Corps, factoring into our models.
The Weather Service had constant access to rain and river gauges, but the Channel 4i team has now learned they didn't even have hourly updates on the dam, even as that information kept changing. It changed the most on May 2nd, when people and businesses like the Opryland Hotel were taken by surprise. The Channel 4i team has learned the Corps lost email service for 11 hours, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So the Corps and the Weather Service relied on phone calls. And how many phone calls were made? According to National Weather Service records, only 4 calls. 4, along with 1 early morning email update. And keep in mind, the amount of water released from the dam changed 22 times on that Sunday, and it kept increasing. Look at this. The National Weather Service called the Corps at 1:30 on Sunday to find out how much water was being released through the dam so they could make their next crest prediction. But after that call ended, the Corps decided to increase the amount of water being released 9 different times, including opening the gates to their maximum level. In the meantime, the National Weather Service kept making predictions, not knowing about the increases until they spoke by phone again with the Corps at 7 o'clock that night, 5.5 hours after the last call.
If we had information that was, several hours old or something, that's the information we're working off of. We work off of whatever the latest information provided by the Army Corps of Engineers.
And get this, according to a National Weather Service spokeswoman, at that 7 o'clock phone call, forecasters were told the dam would be releasing this much water. But the Army Corps of Engineers' own data now shows at that time they were actually releasing this much water, a lot more, every second. A Corps spokeswoman says they made the best prediction with the information given to them at the time. Still, Corps officials praised the sharing of information at last week's news conference.
As across the board, I think the agencies work very well together in terms of relaying communications and relaying information and being as responsive as we possibly could.
So why weren't more phone calls exchanged every time the dam opened more and more? Well, right now there's an assessment team in Nashville from these 2 federal agencies looking at how information was shared and what impact this might have had on flood victims. We asked the acting director of the Office of Emergency Management to comment on our findings, but Stephen Halford said he would have to wait to comment until the assessment team issues their final report.
And could that be months or even a year from now?
There's no timetable that we know of right now, and we know that they're here this week. Who knows when their report's going to come out, but we'll stay on it.
Okay.
Intriguing
Jeremy,
stuff.
thank you.
Well, right now in Wilson County, police are investigating the deaths of 2 people, and we have learned 2 Antioch high school students might be involved. Channel 4's Dennis Ferrier is live at the scene. Dennis?
Well, Tom, what we have are 2 dead people in 2 cars in 2 different counties. But it may not be that complicated. We're at Stewart's Ferry Pike here in Wilson County. You can see right down here 2 cars on this dead-end street met and had a conversation. Well, the conversation led to a shootout. One of those cars had 2 Antioch students. The young man in that car is dead. He's down here on this road. His girlfriend escaped and is now the main witness.
No, she said she got out the car and rolled on the ground and ran to somebody's house.
And then she called you?
She got the police, and then she called me.
What'd she say when she called you?
That she heard shooting and stuff, but I don't know if they got in the car beside them or what.
That's the witness's sister. You're looking right now at the actual witness getting into the police car. Okay, that accounts for 1 shooting victim. The other one was in the other car. That car got away, was drivable, was heading down 171 here, Mount Juliet Road, toward Hobson Pike. It pulls over, and they push this young man out, and he's on the road bleeding, and an off-duty Wilson County Sheriff's deputy stops, starts giving CPR. While he's giving CPR, another person in that car, the other car involved in the shooting, jumps in the car, drives off, and then the next thing you know, there's another girl. She's the other witness. So they think that they might have one of the other shooters. They might have the story if they're telling the truth. Live in Wilson County, I'm Dennis Ferrier, Channel 4 News.
Dennis, thank you. House lawmakers revealed their budget proposal this morning, and it includes some extra money for state employees. Now, the House plan does not include the governor's proposed tax increases, but it does use more reserves to restore some proposed cuts to teacher pay and programs. It also includes a one-time $500 bonus for state employees, higher education workers, and teachers. And it would establish a $20 million flood recovery grant program.
Working on the details how to best serve as many folks as possible that have been affected in Middle and West Tennessee.
Republicans have criticized the plan, though, because it relies too much on the rainy day fund to make ends meet. Well, we're expecting a final decision tonight on the outsourcing of custodial services in metro schools. This is a live look now at the school board meeting that began just a few minutes ago. The board is expected to approve a contract with GCA Services, a company out of Ohio. School custodians have been fighting the move every step of the way. They demonstrated again before tonight's meeting. Officials say outsourcing jobs will save the district $6 million a year. Under the plan, GCA would retain those custodians recommended by the district and also hire 60 additional workers. Hundreds crowded today a small church to say goodbye to a fallen soldier.
Private First Class Billy Anderson died last week in Afghanistan. Today, close friends and strangers honored him. Channel 4's Cynthia Williams was in Smithville for the service.
It's an absolutely beautiful day here in Smithville, and across the street, hundreds of people are inside that church paying their last respects to Private First Class Billy Anderson. The flag-draped casket rests in the sanctuary of this Smithville church, but loved ones have rested little since learning of the 20-year-old's death in Afghanistan.
It's still really hard to believe that someone that young is gone, especially someone who you grew up with.
18-month-old Lily Grace was among the hundreds today who turned out for her young father's funeral.
Yeah, she's her daddy made over. She's got a big dimple in the side of her cheek. When she smiles, you can see it, and he had dimples. And
Private First Class Billy Anderson also had a wife, Caitlin, a mother, Marlene, and a big brother.
All-around great person, great soldier, great father. Great brother.
At the beginning of the funeral, mementos were placed inside the casket, Lily's blanket, and family photos. Private First Class Anderson will be laid to rest about 15 miles away from here, but wherever he is, he won't be far away from the hearts and the minds of those who loved him. In Smithville, I'm Cynthia Williams, Channel 4 News.
At the end of this service, medals were given to Private First Class Anderson's family, among them the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. The 8-year-old daughter of State Representative Joey Hensley was hit by a car this morning. The little girl was at the family's home in Hohenwald. She was walking from the mailbox to the house when a driver hit her. The child was flown to a hospital in Nashville. Now, according to a letter from the Speaker, The child had injuries to her legs and internal organs, but she's expected to make a full recovery. The driver of the car will not face any charges. Just ahead on Channel 4, more trouble for Mindy McCready, and exclusively on Channel 4. Steve McNair Jr. shares his story for the first time since his father's murder.
Also, the worst of the worst. Find out which restaurant foods pack in the most calories and fat.
Well, a few pop-up thunderstorms today, and the afternoon heating. We'll take a look at that and our chances of getting more wet weather just ahead.